I mean, it was the storm of the century, right?
Extreme flooding risk for Ashland.
We know that this is just the beginning of what has been and continue to be an awful and devastating natural disaster.
We were dealing with this wind event on top of the flooding event. That's why you saw 120-year-old oak trees snap in half 60 foot in the air.
Helene leaving a path of destruction far and wide. We've seen historic flooding.
My primary concern was landslides.
Really, it was?
I just remember saying, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
I'm okay, it's okay.
Everything's gone. It's all gone.
It's okay.
The tributaries were filling up, trees were falling because of the wind, blocking up the little streams.
There's nowhere for that water to spread out. So it gets in those narrow rivers and just takes, the velocity just is incredible. It's almost unmanageable.
Get in the house. Go. Go. Here it comes. Oh, God.
The amount, the speed, the velocity, the ferocity of the water just picked everything up and now made it a projectile.
Saw the house sliding into another home.
Our firefighters were out in boats dodging houses to make rescues.
Oh, no. It's my neighbor's house.
Hurricane Helene took so much from western North Carolina.
This is our home.
More than 185,000 homes were destroyed.
$60 billion in damages, far and away, by a factor of 3, the most damaging storm in North Carolina history.
But for 108 families, Helene took everything.
You know, there's like no insurance in the world that can replace what we lost that day. But I would have rather have had to replace my home than lose my heart. Because he was my heart.
I had the bedpost in my hands and the bed was floating, and she was on the bedpost with the 3 dogs. I looked up and there was a big tree, and I told her, hang on, we're gonna hit a tree. We hit the tree, and I couldn't hold on to her.
They're never gonna forget that pain, that hole in their heart. So what we have to do is try to embrace them, help them move forward, help communities move forward, and really the best way we can do that is by showing up, by being here.
We want to hit as many cities, as many counties. I'm WRAL documentary investigator Cristin Severance.
What are you hoping to get there?
I teamed up with WRAL anchor reporter Eric Miller to look back on all of it 1 year later.
When the French Broad River rose, it was kind of like a train pummeling the town.
We revisited as many communities as we could.
We're spending today in Bat Cave, Lake Roar, Chimney Rock, and just getting here was tough.
We're just getting into Marshall here, a town that was absolutely inundated from end to end by the French Broad River.
We talked to those rebuilding their homes, businesses, their lives.
It's like 90% of people didn't have flood insurance.
So we did have disaster insurance, but we were full denial.
In my case, both my parents are gone. The house, totally gone. And the insurance company will look at you and say, we're sorry. They don't cover anything. And then FEMA comes through and FEMA looks at you and says the same thing. There's nothing we can do for you because they're no longer with us.
Do you feel forgotten by legislators? 100%. They show up, they've been here, they've seen it with their own 2 eyes, and they've never came back.
You know, Western North Carolina is holding on by a thread as far as how long can we go without the money that's needed to actually do this work?
The delays in funding, especially from Washington, has been really one of the most heartbreaking things. These delays have real-world consequences.
We felt the heartbreak and hope at every stop along the way.
Do you feel like Marshall, do you feel like what y'all have been through here, do you feel like you've been forgotten?
Absolutely not. I feel like we've been discovered.
When they sit down and do an interview, so many people have become emotional.
Just weighs on you?
Yeah, I think on all of us.
Because we've been through an incredible thing. And when we talk about the people that we've gone through it with, that's powerful.
And when it happens to the place that you love and your friends' businesses, it's just a lot. It's a lot.
It's hard watching people struggle. I know you can't.
We've seen the best North Carolina, the best of America here, and I just want to let people know that it exists and that we remain hopeful, that goodness is out there, grace is out there, it's real. We felt it, and I promise you when your time of need comes, your friends of the mountain will be there.
It's tough to look back at Helene without starting in Fairview, a small community in Buncombe County with roughly 2,300 people. 12% of all the Helene deaths in western North Carolina happened here. 13 people died, 11 of them from the Craig family.
We're all missing a different piece. You know, some of us it's parents, some of us it's husbands, cousins, brothers, sister-in-laws, aunts, uncles. Some of us lost 2 people, some lost 1, some lost them all.
Mary Garrison was home in Fairview with her husband Tony, a lifelong firefighter, when the storm hit.
I mean, there was a lot of water pouring off of the hill that's behind our house, which is technically not a hill, it's a mountain. And all of a sudden, it was like this huge gush just come out, and it crossed the road, and he grabbed a coat, and he was out the door. He was gone. And then, you know, my son came in, and Dylan said, "Mom, call 911." And so I picked up my phone, and I tried to call, but of course, no cell phone service.
Tony, their son Dylan, and nephew Brandon had set out to find a man they thought was trapped in the landslide.
And it was at some point in time, Ronnie Harris came up out of there, which was who Dylan and Tony and Brandon were looking for. So he evidently had gotten stuck in some trees and had managed to pick his way back up through here. And he told us that Dylan and Tony and Brandon were all gone. They were all deceased. And I hit my knees. But at some point, we heard that there had been a second slide. Then it just gradually started coming out, you know, just exactly what we were looking at and how bad it was. I remember looking out the door and I saw them carrying somebody on their back up the hill. And I just took off. I kind of remember that Dylan had a red jacket on, and that's who they had. I thought he was dead. He was alive. And we got it back up here, and we laid him in there in her floor, and we had to take all of his clothes off because he was he had been swept away, so he had mud everywhere. It was like coming out of his eyes and his ears and his nose, and his hair was all caked and matted, and he was throwing up mud. It was terrible. And I remember thinking, my husband's there. And Brandon's down there. And, but Dylan's alive. And I have to try to keep him here. It was so difficult for them to even get assistance in here to us because we were stuck between two slides. They came and they loaded Dylan in the back of a truck. We finally got to the emergency room.
Then Mary had to tell Brandon's mom what happened to him.
And I had to tell her that her son was gone. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Then I had to tell her her brother was gone. Cousins, aunts, uncles, all gone. It's gone.
"13 people from one holler gone." I met with some other members of the Craig family at the Guerin Creek Fire Department, where Tony Garrison worked, to talk about this past year.
Does it feel like it's been a year?
Sometimes it feels like it's been forever. Sometimes it's just like it just happened.
Tony's cousin Cindy lost her parents, Dan and Evelyn Wright, when their home washed away.
I just remember saying, bless their hearts, because, I was hoping that it happened fast, that they didn't have any kind of fear or suffer, or, that I was just concerned that none of them suffered, that it just happened really fast.
What's it like being back here like this?
It's never going to be the same. It's just never going to be the same.
Brian Craig lost his parents, Lois and Jimmy, when their home was carried off by floodwaters.
Just when something like this happens, like for me, you're searching for anything. But I was looking at my mother's Facebook page, and this popped up. It said, remember these 4 things. God will make a way for you. God is fighting your battles. Prayer is the best medicine, and trust God's timing. And that's what I do.
So 1, 2, 3, all gone.
Yes.
And Alicia Craig lost her mother and father-in-law, Sandy and Ronnie Craig, when their home was also swept away. They lived next door.
Like my father-in-law's truck is still sitting over there, and for some reason, I do not want it to be moved. It's just something that is still his. So it's just a lot.
Father-in-law Ronnie built Alicia's house. A camper slid down the mountain and crashed into it during Helene, but it's still standing.
We ate dinner together every night. Like we're just a really close family. So to not have them anymore has been really hard for all of us, my husband and my boys and myself. So it's not been easy.
I mean, it's sad because I grew up, that was my great-grandparents' house.
Cousin Amber Ballou lost her home in the storm. Her great-aunt and uncle, Terry and Freddie Pack, and their tenant, Chase, lived next to Amber. All three died when their home slid down the mountain.
I just can remember telling my husband, I'm like, it's just a home. This is nothing right now. We have people to go find. We have loved ones to go see.
She was 5 months pregnant and took shelter at the fire department when the homes started sliding. She knew many family members probably didn't make it, but she couldn't bring herself to say it out loud.
When I was on my way to my house, that's when I saw 3 of my family members asking about their loved ones, because I ultimately knew. And that was survivor's guilt that caught me. Because they're coming to me for an answer, and it's not my duty to tell them that they were missing.
Survivor's guilt. It's something many members of the Craig family feel almost daily. Maybe none more than Mary's son, Dylan.
But he doesn't understand why he's still here. And I told him God wasn't done with him.
Dylan told her they tried to run when they heard the slide, but the intense force of rock, trees, and mud swallowed them in seconds.
Jimmy Dean, that lives on the hill up here, and his wife Sandra were out there.
Dylan was buried up to here, so we started just ripping stuff with our hands, reaching under them and ripping stuff, trying to get Dylan pulled out. He come to one time and set up, and he looked around and he said, "Who is this?" And I said, "Dylan, this is your dad." And he just yelled.
When they found Dylan and Tony and Brandon, they were all together, and that Tony had his arm around Dylan. So, I think that's how Dylan survived, honestly.
Now, a large cross sits in Mary's mother-in-law's yard. Martha Garrison lost her son Tony and grandson Brandon.
That is Martha's memorial garden. The 2 roses that are next to the cross. There's one for Brandon and there's one for Tony. Just means that we'll see them again. We will see them again. That's hard. It's being the one left behind. It's really hard. And I'm here. And I'm here because my kids still needed me.
"70 miles from Fairview is the small town of Elk Park, North Carolina. It's in Avery County, near the Tennessee border. 1 year after Helene, a sense of closure still missing for Kim Ashby's family. Tell me about your mom.
Oh, she's such a beautiful person, such an incredibly giving soul.
Going on a bear hunt. I'm not afraid of God.
She's great with kids, and as a mother, she was always present, always laughing, always dancing. That's who she was.
Kim and Rod Ashby married in 2019. They had 5 adult children between them.
There was something about her and Rod that was perfect.
We had always wanted to be in the mountains.
They had planned this like small cabin. It didn't turn out that way. It was huge, and it was because the more that they thought about it, the more they were like, we're gonna want our kids here. We're gonna want our grandkids here.
The land that we bought, the highest that water level had ever kind of been in that area was about 5-6 inches. I had floodgates all the way around the house.
And so that allows water to come through without you having to be there and do anything about it.
It was built for that, in case something was to happen. Everybody that I talked to said that house would withstand anything. Obviously not.
And in interacting with the moisture coming in from Helene, that's why the rainfall totals will be quite ridiculous.
Kim and Rod were at the house Thursday night before Helene hit.
It was raining. It wasn't raining hard. It wasn't that bad.
Friday morning, it was still raining.
I did see some water coming through the house on the bottom. It was probably about a foot deep. The water was running through the house exactly like it was supposed to.
An hour or so later, the river kept rising and everything changed. Rod said a pillar on the house broke away.
Let's just get out and we'll go to higher ground.
They never had the chance.
I heard a big crash. I looked down the stairs to the garage and I saw the wall closest to the river lift up about 7-8 inches off the actual foundation itself. I said, we need to go, and we need to go now. And so I put her in a bedroom, and I had a couple dogs, and I threw the dogs in the bedroom. And we had the rolling out windows. There was a screen on it. And before I could get that screen out, the house slid into the water.
This is video of Rod and Kim's mountain home in the river taken by a neighbor. Rod gave us permission to show it for the first time.
I had the bedpost in my hands and the bed was floating, and she was on the bedpost with the 3 dogs. I had windows around the room, and so I could kind of see what was going on. And the house, when it slid into the water, it kind of slid in the water and it started to turn. And I could see the house turning, and I could see the house going into the embankment of the river. The house hit the embankment river and basically fell apart. I was in the water. I was trapped. I was able to get on top of the debris. Kim was about 20 feet in front of me. So I crawled under the debris to get to her. I could actually had her starting to come up out of the debris, and I told her, hang on. I knew where we were at in the river, vicinity-wise. I knew that we had to get off because I know the river went around a bend, and after that bend, it hit a big waterfall. So as I was trying to lift her, I told her, I looked up and there was a big tree. And I told her, hang on, we're gonna hit a tree. We hit the tree, and I couldn't hold on to her. She went to the right, and then I went to the left. Eventually, I was able to grab a tree branch, and I was able to hold on enough that I could actually crawl out of the water.
With no way to cross the river, Rod was stuck at a neighbor's home.
So I could only walk my side of the bank, and I would walk that every day. So twice, 3 times a day. But I never could find her.
He said it took days to reach anyone.
Because nobody really knew what had happened in that area. There was no helicopters, there was no food, there was no water, there was nothing there.
Finally, a neighbor with Starlink made contact with Rod's family. Kim's daughter Jessica was 6 months pregnant at the time. Jessica's wife told her the news.
And she has just tears in her eyes, and she could like barely get it out, but you know, she goes, your mom's missing, and no one's heard from her.
Jessica started posting and trying to contact anyone who could help with the search.
Then people were reaching out being like, okay, we're doing flyovers, tell us the coordinates of where they're gonna be. And it was a lot of logistics, but a lot of, we don't know what the hell's happening, but it was just poorly managed. And even when FEMA came in, there was about a week of really good searching. There was one day that we got a video from my uncle, but there were, I don't know, 30 vehicles coming, and there were, you know, hundreds of people, and there were search dogs and this, that, and the other. And he was positive we were gonna find her that day. And then to have to come back and say, we still haven't found her, is just, it compounds that loss and that feeling of helplessness.
She said the search ended around Thanksgiving. Too much time had passed. It started to snow.
She was an incredibly beautiful person, and what a terrible way to say, not even be able to say goodbye. It's just wild.
Kim's family is left with so many questions, including what caused the home to collapse.
I can tell you that something had to hit that wall to knock that wall out. That high water bridge was sitting all over my property. And it's still there to this day. It still has not moved. The bridge was in critical condition almost 14 years ago. If that bridge did have something to do with it, it would help me get through some things to understand that at least what I did was not the total cause of the situation.
You said that house passed inspection and you had floodgates everywhere.
Yeah, it did. And it was working as it was supposed to. I watched it. I watched the water go through it.
But some questions may never be answered, like will Kim Ashby ever be found?
Sometimes I think about that, as to be honest with you. She's in her resting place and I don't want to disturb her.
And will the big life moments always feel her absence? Daughter Jessica was 6 months pregnant when her mom went missing. She gave birth that December.
This was my second child that I carried. My first child, I had a stillbirth at 36 weeks. And my mom was in the room with me the entire time. So this was the first child that hopefully was going to be born alive. And it would have been perfect to have her there with me to kind of cap the previous loss. And so not having her in the room was really, really hard. No one should ever have to be lost in this way. But it happened to one of the best people this world's ever seen.
So, and that's why I tell people now, you just don't know when those last words will come.
This was the emotional toll of Helene. Next, we'll show the financial one.
How these businesses are doing, how these people are doing.
Millions of dollars in tourism gone. Frustrations mounting.
We need the federal government to speed up.
But hope is there too.
Mother Corey died here, Jesse learned to walk. Hides marked on the doorframe, measured out with chalk. First kiss on the porch swing, married in the yard. House full of stories, sacred and scarred. 12 generations till Helene brought her down. If those walls could talk of how Helene brought her down.
Western North Carolina is roughly 12,000 square miles. Helene impacted 17 of its 23 counties. 1 year later, some towns are rebuilding, others still stuck. Right outside of downtown Asheville is Biltmore Village. Floodwaters rose up to 6 feet, impacting every business in the historic shopping area. It's where I talked with my colleague, WRAL anchor and reporter Eric Miller, who traveled all over western North Carolina in the days after Helene.
This is what it looks like when people's lives are put into a blender. Some major roads across the mountain have already been cleared. There are so many trees down, landslides, and washouts here on Highway 176. It's not clear when this road could reopen. This has information on where to get food, medicine, and electricity for those who need it.
You know, I wanted to ask, what has it been like being back? Because you had spent so much time here.
It's surreal in a lot of ways. And you go to these places and sometimes they look completely different. Sometimes the renovations have been completed, the cleanup has happened, there have been repairs made, and that feels, miraculous. And then you come to places like this, you come to Biltmore Village, and you see all of the boards on the windows. Or you're in Green River Cove, where we were yesterday, and you see a house sitting on its roof.
Green River Cove is about 40 miles south of Asheville in Polk County. Catastrophic flooding took out nearly 40 homes, washed away roads, and shifted the river's course. Kayakers spent days bringing in supplies to trapped residents, searching in shattered buildings for survivors. Volunteers have pulled nearly 3 million pounds of flood debris and trash from western North Carolina rivers so far.
Do you feel like this place and the struggles people are having and you're still having, do you feel like it's been forgotten?
To some people, it feels like it was just yesterday. Depending on what community you're in, you're still living in this devastation and destruction that maybe hasn't been touched yet for, cleanup opportunities.
We're on our way to Pensacola right now. Pensacola is a little community that's up in the mountains of Yancey County. It was incredibly hard hit by Helene. Landslides dropping down off of the surrounding mountains, homes completely destroyed. It was a hard hit place that didn't get a lot of attention, didn't get a lot of help.
Almost a year later, the people in Pensacola are just now seeing work to fix roads and bridges.
There's still so many displaced people because of lack of bridges, driveways, gravel.
Claudette Childs has lived here her entire life. Helene took her family's historic store, killed friends and neighbors, and left her cut off from the outside world.
When you look at the federal response and the state response,
I don't want to go there.
why don't you want to go there?
Because it pretty much does not exist, has not existed. The help that we've received have been through private organizations, volunteers.
We heard the same thing all across western North Carolina. The volunteers have stepped up when the government hasn't. In Fairview in Buncombe County, where 2 landslides killed 13 people, 11 from the extended Craig family.
Really nobody from the state or anything like that has stepped up yet. The people here are the people helping.
In Chimney Rock Village, along the Broad River, where businesses were washed away, the ones left were filled with mud and water.
As far as help coming on, we've had all kind of disaster relief groups come. These 4 people you saw sweeping, the one girl's from Venice, Florida. What's she doing up there? She's trying to help.
They've been cleaning up our streets, helping us clean up inside of the shops when they get done so that we can put merchandise back in. So the Amish folks have been coming down from Pennsylvania, skilled laborers that have been coming in.
And in Swannanoa, just east of Asheville, where the river rose to 26 feet, collapsing bridges and filling neighborhoods.
As far as the state, we're not getting a lot of help from the state. We've been promised a lot of things, and I personally have not seen anything. I don't think very many of my neighbors have seen anything. But really, it was a lot of the community that really jumped in and helped with things.
Governor Josh Stein, who has made several trips to western North Carolina since Helene hit, told me during an interview at the Executive Mansion in Raleigh, the communities have stepped up. Now it's the government's turn.
I just want to make sure that our government matches their passion, their determination, their grit. They have supported each other. We must support them.
How much did you ask the legislature for, and how much have you received?
I asked for about $2 billion, maybe $1.75 billion. I've received in 2 appropriations from them over $1 billion, $1.1 billion. I think what the General Assembly has done is a very good start.
Governor Stein said that money has gone to help farmers with crop loss and small towns rebuild infrastructure.
And so I'm going to come back to them and need more funds.
To receive billion-dollar increments for a $60 billion disaster, that's going to take a long time if we keep going at this pace.
The lawmakers have a pot of money that they haven't let go of. So there you go. That should be distributed to the people, and some of them haven't even been up here. They have no clue. They have no clue about Western North Carolina, and they represent the whole state. And that's the big dogs in the legislature.
When it comes to federal funds, Stein has asked Congress for nearly $12 billion to repair bridges, roads, and utilities.
Typically 40, 50%, sometimes 60 or 70% of the overall damages come in the form of relief from the federal government. So far, of the $60 billion in damages we've experienced, North Carolina's received about 8%. 8%. It's just not enough.
And then there's FEMA. The agency is supposed to reimburse towns and municipalities for the work they've done, from debris removal to repairing essential services.
They do the work, and then they submit the invoice, and they wait, and they wait, and they wait. And it takes too long for FEMA to reimburse these local governments. Some of these projects could be $2, $3 million, and some of these governments' budgets may be $15 million. Overall, for the whole year. And so we're talking about a serious percentage, a substantial percentage of the overall budget being held up. And so there are these cash flow problems.
DHS Secretary Cristin created a new policy to personally review almost every request before funds are released.
Is that causing delays?
It has caused delays. I mean, she requires her personal review of every expense reimbursement over $100,000. Every expense reimbursement is for more than $100,000, or about every one of them is. And so it's just adding another step. And then there's a DOJ review that just goes and looks at everything that FEMA has already approved, and then everything that Homeland Security has already approved. So they've now added 2 additional bureaucratic steps to a process that was already too slow.
It's a bipartisan frustration. U.S. Senator Ted Budd, a Republican from Davie County, withheld his vote for a DHS nominee to call out FEMA for being too slow. The next day, FEMA released $12 million to Western North Carolina.
I called him this morning to thank him. He has recognized this deficiency with FEMA and the layers of bureaucracy they've added to an already bureaucratic process. We need our representatives to fight for North Carolina, and I was pleased to see that.
Should it take that, though?
No, it shouldn't. You shouldn't have to fight your own government to do right by the people of Western North Carolina. But if that's what it takes, that's what we will do.
You can see the impact of those delays in Hot Springs in Madison County. The Appalachian Trail runs right down the middle of the small community of just 500 people. The historic downtown and critical infrastructure were underwater.
What has been the biggest challenge over this last year?
Really the cumbersomeness of the government.
Just waiting on FEMA.
Waiting on that money, yeah. It's money that many of the projects, the money's, yes, you can have it. Where is it?
Wendy Stansel is on the Hot Springs Town Council. They have 19 infrastructure projects to complete.
I mean, our biggest one, we have to relocate our sewage treatment plant.
So that project is estimated to be about $12 million.
Hot Springs has been approved for federal funds, but the town hasn't received a dollar.
Western North Carolina is holding on by a thread as far as how long can we go without the money that's needed to actually do this work.
The disaster, the recovery, the wait. Stansel said it can get overwhelming.
When it happens to the place that you love and your friends' businesses, it's just a lot. It's a lot.
While the towns know the money is eventually coming, thousands of small business owners like Tim Arnett, who owns the Spring Creek Tavern in Hot Springs, don't have federal aid on the way. His deck was swept away, his business filled with water.
FEMA doesn't help businesses, and so they just tried to direct us to SBA loans, which most people are still paying back from COVID.
His employees have been waiting on them to open with no income coming in.
Having to tell them over, guys, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We're going to get there. But it's hard watching people struggle and know you can't help them.
I think we will look back, and one of the failures of our recovery is the lack of having a system and money going to small businesses.
Mayor of Canton, Zeb Smathers, said there is little actual help to keep these businesses afloat.
But if businesses don't have a way to survive, you really don't have a recovery in the end.
By the time this is all said and done, it's probably going to cost $500,000.
So what are you doing? Savings? Like, is it on you?
Yeah. So again, contributions, donations have been, mind-blowing.
Rebuild Hot Springs is a long-term recovery group for the town.
It's a group of volunteers that have raised amazing amounts of money for businesses as well as unemployed residents.
How much?
Over $1 million.
We are a very independent town, and we like to take care of our own, but I don't know where we'd be without people helping.
It's a lot, and then at the same time, being part of such a grassroots effort to recover is so powerful and inspiring, you know.
If this is what the mountains lost, next we'll show you all they found.
God's wrath upon her in the fall of 24. 2 feet and rising, she heard the water roar. Bodies in the river, bodies on the shore. Pine, spruce, and stone, they don't stand here no more. 12 generations, Celine brought her down. Those 4 walls stood strong. Celine brought her down.
Marshall in Madison County was flooded end to end during Helene. The French Broad River crested 27 feet.
I saw a building bobbing down Main Street. I saw the depot, and I knew at that point it was a different event.
Joel Friedman, who owns Zuma Coffee, was ready to give up.
My life work is over with.
Friedman left the town and Devastation for a few days. Then he came back.
And as soon as I parked my car, there was a crowd of people surrounding me, telling me I had to do this again, that they needed me. And in that moment, there was never a question again.
The town was inundated with volunteers, thousands over the last year. Zuma reopened in May.
So what gives you hope?
What gives me hope? Well, if the cameras were panning around, they would see a full house right now at 11:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, which gives me a lot of hope.
There is hope in Lake Lure, where 22 inches of rain overwhelmed the town's dam, forcing evacuations.
We're gonna go up in the attic. We have to, guys.
Caravan and Paul Brock own Lord Market and live in Batcave. Their only way out was to scale down a mountain.
So it was my
wife and my son and I, and then of course there was no road. And when I say no road, it was like 20 feet down to the river.
They were evacuated by helicopter. Their business became the gathering place to get supplies and food after the flood.
Those first weeks, I cried all the time. And we would meet people across the street coming for food and just be hugging complete strangers and crying.
Paul joined the volunteer fire department, where he and other locals are rebuilding towns.
We got a long way to go. We really need people to come and enjoy this place like they did before.
And from every town, an invitation in Chimney Rock.
Don't forget us either. Come down and see us. We're going to be here, and we're going to be here for you.
Hey, come visit. We got a lot to offer.
In Hot Springs.
So the thing everyone needs to know is that Hot Springs is open. Hot Springs is here, and maybe not everything is ready for you, but we need you to come here.
In Saluda.
I think like any of the towns that were hit hard, I mean, we're very dependent on tourism. And so we need people to come visit us for a weekend, come stay for a weekend.
In Canton.
And it's the hope that we stand on that there are better days, because people had our back, and the very least we can do is keep going, not just for the ones that we lost, but the ones that took time to care about us. We owe it to everyone to keep going and rebuild this place we call home.
And in Lake Lure.
Today is the open mic night. We're at Lord Market. We're here, we're open, we're ready to receive. Come visit. Everybody's looking forward to the future. You know, we have gotten to a point where it's almost like a total reset.
They lost so much and found what matters. They don't just want the people of North Carolina to revisit the mountains. They need you.
What gives you hope? Oh goodness, this beautiful mountain where we're sitting right now, that it's back. You know, that there are certain things that Helene can't take away from us. The people, the community that we've become so close to, the human spirit, that gives me hope.
And you're getting emotional too.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, because we've been through an incredible thing. And when we talk about the people that we've gone through it with, that's powerful.